Welcome to the experience live with Russ and Scott and our guest, Mike Dicioccio.
Welcome to the experience live with Russ and Scott.
Join us every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook.
The experience is made possible by these great sponsors. The Aspects of Aging weekly talk show, unscripted conversations with experts, each week hosted by Christine Smith on AgingBetterNetwork.com. Nancy Bakke, transform your business's profit potential with proven strategies and tactics. BestEntrepreneurSolutions.com. The Jalot Home Team, Keller Williams Realty Mid-Willamette. 541-451-2211. TeamJalot.com.
There we are. Yes. Welcome everybody to the experience live with Russ and Scott. And so glad to see you all this morning. You know, it is a great day. We've got a little cool mornings again here in Oregon, and I love it. What about you, Scott?
Yeah, it was a warm day yesterday, getting close to 100. And then the temperature dropped about 20 degrees as the sun went down. And it was a gorgeous sunset, 360 sunset last night.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, you've got such a nice view where you are. I mean, we really can see the sunset quite well, but probably you have a better view than we do. It's just been really great weather here in Oregon, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have a fortunate spot. I can watch the sunrise and the sunset, and so I don't take that for granted. That's just a beautiful thing.
Well, I am just going to say I don't take this for granted. I am blessed, Scott. Yesterday we actually got to have coffee together, and I am cherishing every moment before you take off and leave me to Texas. But you got lots of great things coming up.
Yeah, it's there's just so many things, and we'll have a pod container dropped off the middle of August, and we'll load it up, and 7 days later we'll be on the road down to Texas. But we're going to take advantage and take a drive and visit family along the way, and friends. So, you know, we had the opportunity to meet yesterday face to face, and share a drink at King City, right? King City Coffee?
Kingdom City Coffee.
Coffee, yeah.
Yeah,
It,
you know,
it's a
Devin,
beautiful spot.
it is. And Devin, they're the owner. What a great guy. Guy. Comes right over, gives me a big hug. It's just so nice to see, you know, people that are so making such a positive impact on the community. And he is definitely doing that. And very thankful for that. But, you know, I'm also thankful for being able to, even though you're moving across the country and leaving me, we still will be here live on the experience because we can do this from anywhere. And now I've got a friend to visit in Texas. There you go. So
there we go. Yeah.
But I'm excited. Just want to remind everybody, speaking of the experience live with Russ and Scott, we're here at 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time every week for your viewing and listening pleasure. That's right. Not only does this go live 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, but then it sits on the platforms for infinity and beyond. That's right, forever. And it becomes a video podcast. It's there for you. You can go back to it anytime, especially on YouTube, which we'll talk about, but also then it converts to audio podcast. You can listen on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, whatever your favorite platform is. So that gives you so many opportunities, but we really would love to have you join our YouTube community. And that is so This is actually, there you go. There's the right one. The Experience Talk video is one that goes straight to our YouTube community. But Scott came up with another amazing landing page, because we also have the Experience Local, and there's more information about Scott and I. If you go to local.theexperience.video, you can get there any way you want, but those are a couple great sources for you. And don't forget, we just got off of our wonderful Experience Backstage show on Instagram only, which is every Wednesday at 6:30 a.m. with our good friend Shri and our wonderful sponsor, Nupi, Dr. Nupi Aurora, the Glitta practitioner. We always want to give thanks to her, and all of our sponsors here. We gave thanks in the opening, but Scott and I couldn't do this without support, right, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Aging Better Network, Christine Smith, who is also my wife, and I produce her show, which is at noon Eastern time. And you can go to agingbetternetwork.com and find the live stream there, or you can go to her LinkedIn profile and or on YouTube. But agingbetternetwork.com. Nancy Bakke is another sponsor. She is an amazing coach.
Amazing.
And I recommend that you follow her, learn from her. And if you're a business owner and you want to grow your business, hire Nancy. And then, of course, the Gillette Home Team, they were here. Laura and her team were with the Experience from day one, which, Russ, has been over 3.5 years now. We've been running this show with great guests like our guest today. In fact, I was on Mike's show. It turns out 3 years ago, August of 2021.
Has it really been that long ago?
Show. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. I know. I can't remember how long ago it was for me. It was a long time ago too. But Mike is just doing amazing things. I was able to, even though I do live stream producing and things like that, not every person you meet and work with, you're meant to actually work with. And there was somebody, right off the bat, God was just telling me, Mike is the man for this person, for the things they wanted to do. So I was able to refer her to Mike, and I don't know how that all turned out, but let's bring Mike in and get the show started. What do you think?
Let's get it going.
He's backstage. Give me a big thumbs up. Are you ready, Mike? He goes, get me in here.
Get me in here, guys. Be in here.
How's it going, buddy?
We're talking about sunrise, the sunset coffee. I'm just I feel like I'm just hanging out with you guys right now. And because we don't do the sunrise and the and the sunset, and we have like snow blowing from the east or the west out here. So
last week I was in Arizona doing this from Sedona at my uncle's place, and this picture right behind me is that was my view that morning right before right before we started the show.
Wow, Arizona, that's such a beautiful shot.
Yeah. A buddy of mine, his grandparents lived there for a long time, and just a beautiful place. My grandparents lived out in Scottsdale for many years.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. There's so many great places around this country. But let's back up and let's start with, who in the world is Mike Dicioccio, the mic'd up man? What are you all about?
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on again, and both of you are welcome to come back on Mic'd Up. I want to make sure I say that. You guys mentioned that you're on. So I'd love to have you back on, and you're going to lay back on because I have an awesome co-host now as well. I think it was inspired by the two of you co-hosting this show and how well you guys do it together. Shout out to my co-host, Dave. He's a great guy, Dave Ragosa. So if you guys tune into some of the newer episodes of Mic'd Up, you'll enjoy having him on. An expert entrepreneur, and he's in the franchising space, so he's got a lot of great knowledge about that. But who I am, so you guys know me from Mic'd Up, but previous to doing Mic'd Up, my podcast, which also does have a YouTube channel, and you can hear it on all the audio platforms, I interview entrepreneurs, keynote speakers, authors, musicians, magicians. Anybody who inspires me. I hear their story, and I'm like, man, the whole world needs to know this person. It's not always someone who's quote unquote famous or Instagram famous, whatever you might want to call that, influencer. It's somebody who really has a story. They have something in their heart. They went for it. They're doing it, right? They're living on purpose, and they're inspiring through their own story. And I just want to give them a platform like you guys do for this show. So that's what Mic'd Up's all about. And yeah, you guys have been on. I think, Russ, you were on forget if you were on once or twice now. It's all blending together, but I know it was like maybe a year or so ago. And yeah, Scott, 3 years ago, August is crazy. It's just reminding me that I've been doing the show for 5 years, and it doesn't feel like it.
Wow.
It's going on 5 years in November. Over 220 episodes, and here's how this is really how my story turns into what it is today. So Mic'd Up originally was a passion project. I was doing it the same way that someone would want to go to the links and golf balls or whatever that their thing is, play the guitar. To me, I just love meeting people, and I was doing it already you guys talked about Kingdom Coffee, right? So I was doing the same thing, meeting people at some local coffee joints in Buffalo, and go from one coffee appointment to the next. And at the time, my goal was to meet business owners so I can help them with their media and marketing. My company started in 2017 called Social Chameleon, and I launched it really with the idea to help the small business owner with their branding, their logo, their messaging, their marketing. Anyway, we get them out there, Facebook pages. Believe it or not, in 2017, a lot of small businesses in Buffalo, they barely had like a presence online, right? So we were helping them with their website and the functionality of that, and the user experience of all of it. And in doing that, a friend of mine asked me if I could produce his show because he knew I had media production background from Buffalo State College. And Russ, you wearing your orange again? It always looks like Russ is wearing Buffalo State colors, but he's not.
Orange State Beaver colors. That's right. Hey, by the way, number 1 draft pick in the Major League Baseball just the other day.
There you go.
Number 1 from Oregon State. Okay, keep going.
I got to get you a Buff State one. No one will know the difference until you stand up. But anyway, that's where I went, and I learned to do post-production video editing and audio and all kinds of really cool stuff, but I wasn't really doing anything with it because once I graduated from college, the thing that I ended up falling in love with, and it's kind of cool because I never knew when I was a little kid, I didn't aspire to do this, but I got into sales. And it's not like I woke up one day, I'm going to be a salesman. But I was working at a music store and started to learn how to do sales there. And from there, I got a job selling mattresses through Sleep Number. And from there, I made President's Club. And then I got into insurance sales, door to door, and all that, kind of the old school selling method. And the one thing I loved about it was helping people. And I didn't care what I was selling. Just really enjoyed helping people. If I'm sitting at their table, they're coming into my store, whatever the experience is, I want to make sure that even if they don't buy from me, that they really walk away with a great experience. They enjoy working with me. They're like, yeah, Mike's a cool guy. Like, he's very knowledgeable. He knows what he's talking about. If we're going to do this, we want to do it with him anyway. Like, we're going to buy it from him, right? If we have a problem, we want to be able to call him and not someone else with this company. We really like that experience, just like this show. So that's how it all started, man. And I did that for like probably a decade or so, just different companies, and really fell in love with different products. But after all of it, finally said to myself, I'm starting to get confidence, or at that point I had a lot of confidence as a store manager at Sleep Number. And I was like, I could sell XYZ as long as I believe in it, I'm going to be successful. Why don't I start my own company? And this is where podcasting kind of is the fuel for it. As I was a sales driving around, I'm listening to podcasts in my car all day, and they were all inspirational, positive messages. It was a lot of guys and gals who were like, I started from nothing, or I crashed and burned and I'm on the come up. And I just remember thinking, why not me? Right. So at the time I was going through a divorce, and at 31 years old, I felt like this is my time to reinvent myself and do something that I really feel called to do. And I was really trying to get connected with God and get on purpose. Because when you go through a divorce, at least I'll speak for myself, it was kind of an opportunity to rebuild myself, like the things I didn't like about who I had become or what I was doing or just how I felt. And I looked in the mirror and I was, whatever I didn't agree with that I saw in that reflection, it was a great opportunity for me to change it. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to take a chance. This is my only, like, not only time, but I felt like I was at a place in my life where I could kind of start from the ground up, and it felt good to rebuild myself. So the person you see here today is very different than maybe who would have met 10 years ago. And I think in a great way, still learning, still growing, still walking with in faith. There's a lot of room for growth for sure. But what I want to say about podcasting is that initial experience with podcasting, getting those messages while I was in sales that inspired me to become an entrepreneur. I don't know if I would have got that without it, because I'm listening to some of the greatest business minds just for free, give me information. And you didn't get that in the past. I mean, you could read their books, but they weren't candidly talking to you, right? So that's what I love about it.
I always say that we connect through stories, and stories are best told in the human voice, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is what's important. This is what the beautiful thing is about this, like talk shows on video or the audio podcasts. And so you're producing podcasts for other folks now. What are some of those podcasts out there, so we can maybe take a listen and get some inspiration there?
Yeah, I'm proud to say, this did start with me with my own show. And then what happened, like within the first month, is I had existing clients who were doing other work for ask me, hey, how'd you do that? How'd you start your show? And it really started off as just me consulting people on, this is some of the gear I got. This is how you get it to go live. This is how you get it on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. And then eventually, the funny thing is, people were like, we don't want to do it. We want you to do it. And the light bulb went off. And so now after that, I've launched dozens and dozens of different shows. Again, my show is called Mike Up. We're celebrating 100 episodes of a show called Along the Way Life's Journey. And I'd actually like to connect you with the host, Carl Bucciolato. I think you can both be great guests on the show. So we could talk about that off camera, but I know you'll really vibe well with Carl. Happy birthday, Carl, by the way. It's July 17th as we record this, and it is Carl's birthday, which is cool. He hit 100 episodes. Thrive More with Roger Martin is an awesome show. So he's the CEO of a company called Rockbox Fitness, and also he's the co-founder of that company and Beam Light Sauna, and the mother company is called Thrive More Brands. So we launched their podcast. That was about a year ago. They just hit top 10%, most downloaded in the world. Mike Dup's at 5%, top 5%. We have another show, Green Living with Tea, which is helping people eat and drink and clean, have clean, whether it's mostly home products. Like if you're cleaning your countertops, making sure you don't have all kinds of, toxins all around your household. And it's amazing how many people don't realize the things that are in their home that are not really healthy for themselves and their family. So she's all about cleaning up, the home and making sure you're eating and drinking and living well. So that's Green Living with Tea. That's just a few off the top of my head. Other than that, I mean, we started a really cool story about John Sarasani. I don't know if you guys know John. A lot of paisans tend to gravitate towards me. I don't know what it is about that.
Well, one thing you mentioned, Mike, that I love. Yeah, one thing you mentioned I really love, and that is, passion of meeting people, learning from people. I mean, I learn from people every day. You and I have a conversation. There are things that I haven't considered or remind me of things I need to do. And, this is such a great platform, not only to connect with people, but to grow together. And I love what CJ, Dr. Constance, was saying here, was that she loves you talking about you turning your pain into purpose. And, really, I tell you, through what I've gone through over the last couple of years, I am with you 100%, whether it's physical, like the cancer journey I went through, or whether it's divorce, what you were going through, you're turning that into something positive, a purpose, moving forward and making more happen. You're growing through all of this and becoming better. And talk a little bit more about that, because I mean, not just about your divorce, but I mean about the purpose and moving forward and all of that, and how this has just really made a huge impact, and God's been able to make a huge impact in your life through all this.
Absolutely. Before I do that, I just want to finish my last thought. I mentioned the name John Sarasani. So he hired me on to launch his podcast because he had this movement called 2000% Raise, and he had a book out that he was just finishing, like publishing it, and it was launching. And he didn't know where this was going to go, but I'm a very small part of this success. But since we launched his podcast, it's a top 1% most downloaded show. And I think he has over a couple 100,000 followers on his social media now, and he's blown up. His social media has gone crazy, and his YouTube channel is blowing up. So I know I was a part of that, but it's cool to see the logo I designed for his podcast all over t-shirts, and people all over the country are running around with 2000% t-shirts, and I should have maybe trademarked that and got a little bit of a residual or something. Every time I see it, my residual is just to see him happy and doing well with the brand. But it was just an idea that he had. I'll tell you what, though, you wanted me to talk about people and the power of podcasting, how it connects to my purpose. Well, John, he wouldn't have hired me if he didn't know who I was first. So people need to know, like, and trust you. But also, he was on my podcast. We just became friends. I heard his story. I go, this is incredible. We need to get you on my show. And then I go, this is more incredible than just a 1-hour episode. You really need your own show, man. And I encouraged him. I'm like, if you want to do your show, you know who to talk to. And it didn't happen immediately, but I think I had him on in March, and in September he hired me to produce his show, and we're friends to this day. And there's a lot that has come from that initial podcast. So the reason I love podcasting is, yes, connecting with people, hearing your stories, whether we made money doing this or not. I really enjoy it. Like I said, to me, it started off as a hobby. And really it was like free information for me. Like I said, listening to podcasts is great. And I also love interviewing people because I get to learn from them, and I can ask those follow-up questions you don't get when you read somebody's book. So that was my way too. But really the most beautiful thing that come to me through podcasting is meeting guys like you. And anyone who's listening to this right now can connect with us on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook. And now they become friends through this opportunity generated by podcasting. And I really do feel on purpose to do podcasting as a host and a producer for the shows. I just mentioned a couple, but we got dozens that we've launched, like I said, and that are still active. Most of our shows are successful because of the consistency factor. And one of the things in podcasting is 90% of the people will give up before they even get to 100 episodes. Some don't even, most of them don't even get to 50 their first year. And that's not a knock on a lot of people. That's just, it shows that there is more than just wanting to do it. You need to know what you're doing. You have to write it all out. Like, you just don't script your episodes. I know I don't, but we write frameworks. This is what we want to talk about today. You guys came into today's meeting with an idea of what we talk about today. And so there's preparation. Then once the episodes are done, now what? Now you need to cut it into social media content, right? To get the click-through rate. So people go to your website, go to your YouTube channel, go to your app on Spotify. Because, if you put your show out, you're not leaving those little, it's like ET, you got to leave the Reese's Pieces, right? If you're not leading your audience to where you want them to go, you're actually doing them a disservice. You have this incredible content, but if you're not leading them into where they can find the full version of it, you're really doing them a service. So the purpose for me, I just love helping these, Scott, you just said it, it's the storytelling. When you interview someone, it's really hearing it through someone's story is going to hit way better than someone else telling the story or reading it just in a book. And so I'm on purpose doing that. But what I love about Social Chameleon, my company, now we're giving other people the avenue to go and do that for themselves. And who we really enjoy working with is someone who does have an inspirational message. It always has to be, like, I'm not talking woo-woo or like it's got to be warm and fuzzy every minute. But it's really when someone's on purpose helping other people are interested in working with that person. Like Green Living with Tea. She's helping people learn how to clean up the products in their home and how to live a healthy lifestyle. We feel great being a part of delivering that message every week, right? Every Monday,
I love
show comes out.
I love this whole thing that you took what was a passion and turned it into a business, podcasting. And that in itself is an inspiring story. Whether people start a podcast, it's a great story to say you can take what is just a hobby and not destroy it by turning it into a business. Because sometimes we hear that it's like, oh, if we turn your the fun thing you do into work, then it's work and you don't enjoy it anymore. But your story has proved that wrong.
Yeah, I think, if you really love what you're doing, find a way that it's like if it's golf. If golf is your thing, but now maybe you run a country club, so your stress is around running the country club, you're probably going to golf other places where you're not worried about everyone on the course asking you, hey, did you see this person came in, or is table 19 cleared for the president of this club? And, like you're going to want to go somewhere where you can just play. So for me, my zone to play in is when I get to be the host of Mic'd Up. I just get to kick back and really enjoy talking with people. But yeah, when I'm working with my clients, I mean, we got to be on the money and we got to be hitting and delivering. And so it is a little bit more tense. And I don't want to say it's not fun, but there's times when it's like, you know, you're putting the work in, right? You're doing it all hours of the day sometimes. It is very much work. It's business, right? You got to take it seriously. But whenever I have a quote unquote bad day, if something goes wrong or there's a problem or a tech issue, and you get a little frustrated, I do now very quickly stop myself and go, I'm podcasting. You know, I'm not out there doing construction work. I'm not, you know, doing some kind of manual labor, and or if show comes out 20 minutes later because of a tech issue, we don't like that. That's not our expectation, but also the will likely if someone's show comes out 20 minutes later because someone's microphone's not turning on that day or whatever it might be, right? So we, you know, we do pride ourselves in those issues and stuff don't really come up very often because we do a lot of stuff previous to shows go live to make sure that that doesn't happen. And I do want to say this. I want to pride myself in the fact that when I started, Scott, it was me, myself, and I know you know that part of the story, but now I have a great team. I mean, I have a handful of people, everyone between, I just hired a director of PR for the company. We have a few audio and video editors. I have a project manager who helps do all the things that I used to do by myself. And now, so by the end of the day, it's great feeling to know that things can get done when I'm spending time with my daughter, that time wasn't there and available before to me. And I also, one of my favorite things to do, I never realized that how much I'd love doing this, is writing payroll. You know, doing payroll is the best thing. Like on a Friday, I just feel great. Like rewarding the team for their efforts, you know, it feels good. Like creating jobs feels good.
I don't know.
And right
I don't
now
know if
it's a microcosm. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I feel that way about my QuickBooks work for my things, but I do want to say that the feeling about making someone's life better, my amazing teammate and assistant ever is incredible. And when I know that I am helping her and her family, that does make it, that's a blessing to me. I really enjoy that feeling. But Mike, here, as we wrap up, I want to give you an opportunity, being the responsible host and having to jump in here and when it's time to give everybody your final gold nugget and thoughts of today you want people to remember, and then make sure and tell everybody how they get in touch with you, because you're such an amazing resource. And I really hope that person recently I sent to you turned into a client, but whether they did or not, I just appreciate you. So final gold nugget wrap up and how to contact you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sending me them. We haven't met yet, so it's to be determined on how it works out. But I'll tell you this: whether I can physically help them with Social Chameleon or not, I'm going to point them and steer them in the right direction and give them some wisdom. My wisdom for your audience, guys, is to get started if you haven't already. The reason is, when you get started, you're going to have this vision for the thing that you think you want, or the final version of what it's going to look like, right? It's the songwriter who's noodling a couple chords and they're already picturing performing it on stage at the Grammys, right? We're very much visionaries as entrepreneurs, and that's great. But the thing that you need to do is get started, because when you start to try to build your version of Disney World in your head, just like Walt did, he didn't know what it was going to look like, especially what it's going to look like today. He had an idea for a theme park and maybe a few rides and this and that. But once you get started, you start to learn, you grow, your products change. You can't change a product unless you have one. You're going to change, your people will change. The vision for the company will change. We're always learning, growing, and adapting. That's why I'm actually very proud of the name Social Chameleon, because we are a chameleon. We grow and change with every client we have, and we're social because we're podcasting and we do social media content. So number one thing I could tell people is to start, right? Have a plan. Greatest thing my dad ever told me was you got to have a plan. It's very simple, but it's also amazing how many people don't have a plan and they think they do. And then my point in getting started is you're going to have a product or service that can change and adapt with the times over time. And you're going to look like me 5 years and go, wow, how the heck did I get here? And also be inspired by, like, I still personally feel like I just started 2 weeks ago. It's been 5 years. So, and with the company, it's been longer than that. It's almost 7 years now in November. So, that's the best thing I can tell you. Like, if you have something in your heart, get started. And if you're working a 9 to 5, what are you doing 5 to 9? You know, if you're watching every episode of a sitcom on Netflix every night and you want to start a business, I'm going to tell you got to put the work into. So, what you do with that 5 to 9 every day, start to build your dream, take action on it, and eventually you can turn it into your main gig because it will supplement your income over time. Put in the work, and it's amazing what will happen.
And the best place for people to get in touch with you, Mike?
Yeah, if you want to check out the company, it is socialchameleon.us. We'll have that clickable in the show notes, I'm sure. And if you want to see my podcast or connect with me on social media, I made it easy. It's mikeduppodcast.com, MIKED up podcast.com.
All right, we'll get that added in there with the stuff on your contact information. It is clickable. It is in the comments and in the show notes. And just going right under Mike, we have his LinkedIn. We have all the information there. And Mike, I appreciate you so much. I am, as you know, I'm going to be heading your way this fall on the 1st of October. So if you want to take a drive a few hours and have coffee, I'm all up for it. Like, I will not be as close to you as I was hoping, but I know it's a little bit of a drive.
You're going to be in New York, right? You're going to be in the city?
New York. I'll be in Manhattan.
Yeah. I'm in Buffalo, which is like an 8-hour car ride. But my daughter lives in Philly, and so Philly to New York City, I could hop on a train and for lunch or something. So I'll try to time out and be in Philly during that week or weekend, and we can hopefully get together.
That'd be great. I love it.
I'll bring you a Buff State hoodie.
Hey, there you go.
That's
hey, I just want to say, speaking of my daughter, I'm recording this right now in my studio, which is at home in the basement. My daughter's on summer vacation. She's with me for the week, so she's in Buffalo, and she might be watching this right now because I got YouTube set up upstairs, and she knew it was live. So, Izzy, if you're watching, I love you. Thank you. She's my inspiration.
That is so great. You're so awesome. Appreciate you, Mike. Hey, listen, we're going to say goodbye, but hang tight in the green room. We'll be right there. Thanks for coming on. You're a blessing.
Great to see you, Mike.
Thank you. Cheers, guys. Love you.
Wow.
I love that. Mike,
what a great guy.
Right there.
So I know. I love that name. I mean, that was very, yeah. He needs to start trademarking this stuff.
Yeah. So much fun. Well, it is an inspirational story, and that's what it's about here on the Experience Live with Russ and Scott. Every week we have the most remarkable people on the planet, inspirational stories, and practical advice like Mike gave us today.
Exactly. Well, and I want to tell everybody, listen, I know that there's so many people that watch this show that are not able to watch live. I get that. Life is happening. People are going to work. People are doing things, right? Just remember that this stays on the platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube forever. You can go back. We love you to comment, put hashtag team replay, make sure and say hi, make sure and still connect with people. The connection links and all of that in the comments are still live. And so you need to reach out, connect with people. Also, don't forget this converts to audio podcast. You can listen. If you don't have time to watch, listen on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, whatever your favorite platform is. We would love for you to do that. But most of all, I want to remind you, if you're able, we would love for you to join our YouTube community. It's growing. We're having fun. We even have some fun little shorts on our YouTube page. And we'd love for you to jump in on that and be part of all that's going on in our community, because we're really trying to grow that page. So go to the experience.video for that. And if you just want a general landing page about Scott and I and all of our live streams, including the Experience Local that's on now, go to local.theexperience.video. And we would appreciate that so much, Scott. So any last comments until next Wednesday?
Well, I just want to say thank you to KWIL AM and KYKN AM for broadcasting the Experience Local. It's great to be on radio as well as the social platforms, and just great support.
And, that just reminds me, I forgot to give you your mugs yesterday, Scott, when we were there. But anyway, we have great mugs. We have merch for the Experience Local. There we go. So anyway, listen, guys, have a amazing, amazing rest of your week. There's so many good things still to come. So don't stop now just because you think it's hump day. Just keep rolling. Have an amazing life. And until we see you again, have a great life and
enjoy the experience.
Thanks for tuning in to The Experience Live with Russ and Scott. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.